Now at 5, the Joplin City Council tonight takes up the discussion on whether to ban the sale of miniature bottles of alcohol, plus a promising new weapon in the battle against pancreatic cancer. And
the narrative about the situation on the southern border is split along political party lines. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House with reactions from the Biden administration.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Parts of the area are under a flash flood watch as some places could get heavy rain. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Let's check in with meteorologist Sam Lane for the latest.
All right, thank you very much, Dow. Yeah, we've had a lot of rain across the area. I don't think anyone's complaining too much because we've been in a drought situation, but we do have a flash flood watch in effect for southwestern Missouri this evening. That goes until 10 o'clock tonight. We have a flood warning, though, for the Spring River in Jasper County. That's mainly to the east of Carthage. That goes until tomorrow because it's not expected to crest until tomorrow morning at around 12 feet. And I'll show you more on that in just a second. Also a flood advisory in parts of Ottawa County and Delaware County with some urban street flooding expected with some of the showers in that area. Looking at radar, we've been looking at a lot of precipitation accumulating over the last 24 hours. You can see several inches in the yellow and in the orange, 3 inches or more. So lots of folks getting doused with this heavy downpour activity as it continues to drift off towards the north. Looking at radar right now, you can see it's still raining pretty heavily in Newton County, also McDonald County. Stronger storms now in western Craig County. These are all kind of drifting off towards the north. Very slow moving, and that's what's allowing the rainfall to really accumulate in a hurry. Right now, the Spring River in Carthage, Missouri is at 6.81 feet. And at 10 feet, that's out of its banks, and that's expected to occur later on tonight. And we're also looking at the Horse Creek near Afton. Yesterday it was really up there, and now it's starting to climb once again. Of course, we're going to have the complete details on the forecast and how much longer the rain's going to last when we come back.
See you soon. The Joplin City Council tonight will consider that proposal to ban the sale of miniature liquor bottles in the city. These bottles are commonly used for selling alcohol in quantities of 100 milliliters or less. According to the council bill, shooters, as they're called, are easier to conceal and disproportionately contribute to violations of city code. A representative from Higher Society, a local nonprofit that helps clean up the community, says the bottles add to the litter problem. Some opponents argue that a ban would be unfair and would hurt the city's sales tax revenue. That council meeting begins at 6 this evening. We're going to have the latest on KOAM News at 10. Police are investigating the death of a young baby after a body was discovered in a wooded area in Kansas City, Missouri. Someone passing by the area noticed the body and alerted police over the weekend. Investigators believe the body had been in the woods for a while. A medical examiner will conduct an autopsy to determine how that baby died. Police are treating the case right now as simply a death investigation. The Pitt State president is using pedal power to raise funds and goodwill. Dan Shipp began his 12-day trip titled Dan Bikes Kansas. These Frontenac students cheered him on as he passed through their community. Shipp and his caravan will stop in cities along the way and will host alumni, donors, potential students, and partners, including community college presidents and other fans at evening events. The goal is to meet gorillas across the state and to secure funding for scholarships for students. President Biden says the situation on the border is going better than many expected, but the number of migrants at the southern border is still very high, and there's the typical partisan disagreement about what to do about it. Skyler Henry has details from the White House.
The number of migrants approaching the southern border has dropped significantly since the end of Title 42.
How do you think things are going at the border, sir?
Much better than you all expected.
Border Patrol agents apprehended 4,200 migrants on Saturday, down from more than 10,000 a day before Title 42 expired last Thursday. The administration says numbers are down because it's increased processing for migrants seeking asylum legally, while also increasing deportations for those who don't.
We have to incentivize the use of the lawful pathways and disincentivize placing people's lives in the hands of smugglers, and we are doing that.
Monday, dozens of migrants not eligible to stay in the U.S. boarded an Immigration and Customs Enforcement flight from Alexandria, Louisiana, back to Honduras. The White House acknowledges that border crossings are still high. But they say the best way to keep migrants from coming to the border in the first place is for Congress to enact bipartisan immigration reform.
Immigration reform gets further and further behind when we only focus on the illegal part. Why don't we create a route where people can come over legally? I think that's through work visas.
The House passed a border bill last Thursday that ramps up deportations while cutting off asylum access for most migrants. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer declared it dead on arrival in the Senate. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
President Biden threatened to veto the House bill even if it did pass the Senate and end up on his desk. Still ahead, a new weapon in the battle against a potentially deadly disease.
A new early detection program is giving hope to people at high risk for pancreatic cancer. I'm Bradley Blackburn with more on how it could help save lives.
Plus, a warning about the safety of pre-owned baby gear. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, though many parents rely on pre-owned baby gear like cribs and strollers and high chairs, most admit that they can't tell if the equipment is safe. A new poll from the University of Michigan found 2 in 3 parents acknowledge they do not feel confident about the used equipment. Experts recommend inspecting and sanitizing pre-owned gear, but also checking online for any recalls or changes to safety standards. Performance-enhancing drugs might be linked to long-lasting risk of heart disease, according to a new study out of Denmark. Researchers looked at dozens of men who used synthetic anabolic steroids. They found that former steroid users were more likely to develop heart disease compared to those who never used them. Doctors say anabolic steroids impair blood flow through even the smallest vessels in the body. Low levels of vitamin D might be linked to symptoms of long COVID. Italian researchers looked at 100 patients measuring their vitamin D levels when first admitted to the hospital for COVID, then 6 months later. They found lower levels of vitamin D in patients with long COVID levels were even lower for those suffering from brain fog, including confusion, forgetfulness, and poor concentration. Some 50,000 Americans die every year from pancreatic cancer, a disease that's often called a silent killer because it's simply detected too late. But now a simple blood test is giving doctors and high-risk patients a new weapon. Bradley Blackburn explains.
Gwen Goodman knows how deadly pancreatic cancer can be. In 2003, she lost her sister Lucille after a late-stage diagnosis.
We were called in a room and we were told that she did have it. And not 6 weeks later, she was gone.
Her brother also died from pancreatic cancer. That is why she is here at Hackensack University Medical Center.
I don't believe that that will be the end of my story, but I just thank God that the tool is there to find out.
The hospital launched a screening initiative for people at high risk using an imaging test and a newly approved blood test that can detect pancreatic cancer early. It tracks 9 biomarkers that signal an immune response to the disease.
It's not hyperbole to say it's a game changer. We have never had anything like this in pancreatic cancer.
While it has improved slightly, the 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer is still just 12% because it's hard to find early.
If it's caught early enough, it can be cured.
Gwen's blood test came back borderline, so Dr. Rosario Legresti ordered an endoscopy to image her pancreas and a biopsy of a cyst.
This was benign. Again, very good news for you. More importantly, the rest of the pancreas to me looked normal.
She will continue with annual blood tests.
I'm hoping that it makes a difference, not just in my family, but in communities worldwide, because information is key.
Grateful for a powerful tool that gives her hope for the future. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, Hackensack, New Jersey.
Patients with early onset diabetes or who are BRCA2 carriers are also at a higher risk for pancreatic cancer, and so are African Americans. Doctors say this blood test is currently just for high-risk groups, but it could eventually be part of routine screening. A new study finds eating 5 pieces of fruit and vegetables daily can be as good for your health as taking 4,000 steps. Scientists measured the oxygen levels of more than 2,300 participants who had to run and walk on a treadmill. The participants also answered questions about their food habits over the past year. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, how the potential of a U.S. debt default is impacting consumer confidence.
And we're confident about the rainfall continuing this evening across the area. I'll have all the details on that when we come back. Well, folks, we've had a lot of rain across the area, especially in southern Missouri. As a result, we have a flash flood watch in effect for a large segment of our population. Right now in Seneca, Missouri, it is raining, and it has been raining through most of the afternoon. You can see mostly cloudy skies and a pretty wet pavement down there in Seneca, Missouri, the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. And we're going to see the showers and storms continuing through the evening hours. One good thing about all the rain is it's washing out some of the pollen. 4.7 today. Tomorrow, just a little bit better at 4.8, so still in the good category across the area. This afternoon, we only made it up to 79 degrees before the storms rolled in. 68 was where we started out. Of course, that was above the normals of 77 and 56. And believe it or not, we're above normal now for the month so far on rainfall, but we're still about 3.5 inches behind for the year. But we've been making a pretty good progress in catching up with that rainfall. You can see on the radar over the last few hours, quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity associated with this upper level low that's spinning over northwestern Arkansas. But the back edge of the precipitation is now starting to move in from west to east across our area in the western sections of our viewing area. The strongest storms right now are in western Craig County, and they've been dumping quite a bit of rain in a very short period of time, as rainfall rates are generally around 2 to 3 inches of rain per hour. And these storms have been basically stationary. The winds aloft are not very strong, and so they're not moving anywhere quickly. Temperatures right now are in the 60s and 70s with light and variable winds. Of course, it's in the 60s where it's been raining the heaviest. Right now in Joplin, it's 71 with a thunderstorm in the area, northeast winds at 7 miles per hour. Look at the humidity, 93%. Visibility down to 3 miles because of all the heavy rainfall out there right now. Now, we're not expecting a lot of severe weather. There was a tornado warning earlier way to the east in central and south central Missouri, but we're not really expecting a whole lot of severe weather in our area, just some heavy and beneficial rainfall. Of course, we don't want it all at the same time, but we'll take what we can get. Rain chances are going to be rapidly decreasing as we go into the overnight hours. And then again tomorrow, looks like it's going to be a pretty nice day across the area. Rainfall amounts are going to be varied depending upon where you are. If you get underneath one of those heavy thunderstorms, you could pick up a couple of inches just like that. Most areas, though, are going to be generally around 1/10 to 2/10 with the remaining showers and thunderstorms that we have. And as we look at the forecast, you can see lows tonight are going to be in the 60s and 50s with the area with northeast winds turning around to the northwest. And then as we go through tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy skies, maybe a sprinkle or two in the eastern sections with highs in the upper 60s to lower 70s. And then Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we're going to see comfortable lows, generally in the mid 50s with northeasterly winds, maybe a little bit of morning fog. And that's true for tomorrow as well. Then on Wednesday afternoon, partly cloudy skies with highs in the mid to upper 70s. And then Thursday morning, slightly warmer with lows in the mid 50s, upper 50s off towards the east. How about the next 7 days? Well, we're going to go in through a dry period for the next couple of days with some morning fog, especially where it's been raining heavily. And then Thursday and Friday, more scattered showers and storms start to move back in, but drier as we head towards the next weekend and pretty much all of next week.
In the meantime, the rain is needed. We certainly don't want the flash flooding. Thanks, Sam. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today headed to Edmonton, Alberta to meet with Canadian soldiers fighting wildfires that worsened over the weekend. It's forcing evacuations and hitting energy production in Canada's main oil-producing province. More than 100 wildfires have raged this month, at one point pushing more than 30,000 people out of their homes. The Canadian Army is helping with firefighting and recovery efforts. Officials in Alberta expect hot and dry weather conditions there to continue. Coming up, the latest jobs outlook for Kansas. Topping today's Consumer Watch, U.S. consumer sentiment dropped in May. That's according to a preliminary report from the University of Michigan. The cause, Americans are worried about the economy and the potential default of the government's debt. Consumer pessimism can impact spending behavior of people deciding to tighten their wallets. A separate report shows that's already happening. The New York Fed's household spending survey says monthly household spending decreased by nearly 2% from December to April. The unemployment rate in Kansas is expected to decrease in 2024, with the state poised to add thousands of new jobs. That's according to a new employment forecast released by Wichita State University's Center for Economic Development and Business Research. Since 2020, employment rates have been on the rise. The center estimates the employment increase of 0.8% for Kansas in 2024 and also predicts GDP across all industries in the state will increase. AAA is projecting the Memorial Day weekend is going to be among the busiest ever in the country as Americans try to get out of town to kick off the summer. More than 42 million people are expected to hit the roads or take to the sky for the holiday weekend. That's up 7% from last year. Reporter Chris Van Cleve shows us what to expect.
With Memorial Day weekend just around the corner, the unofficial kickoff to the summer travel season is ready for takeoff. AAA predicts air travel will surpass 2019 numbers. The nearly 3.4 million passengers expected to pack airports will be the second most for the holiday weekend on record.
I think there's a travel optimism right now. People really want to travel.
I'm excited but wary about the method of travel, so I would reconsider what airline and even if I take an airline.
Airfare tracking site Hopper says domestic prices are cheaper than last year, but up 6% from pre-pandemic, while international fares are the highest in 5 years. Kristen Redding is going to Greece.
Definitely higher. This plane ticket was $1,600. I've never paid that much ever.
More than 37 million will be traveling by car, slightly lower than pre-pandemic, but up 6% from last year, helped by lower gas prices. While inflation continues to run up costs, AAA says it's not stopping travelers.
We don't think inflation is impacting people's decisions.
You can always travel on a budget.
It's just a little more challenging in terms of just planning and knowing how to account for expenses, but we still plan on going.
And going for longer. This 3-day weekend is increasingly turning into a 6-day summer starter. I'm Chris Van Cleve in Phoenix.
Streaming giant Netflix is reportedly looking to cut its spending by $300 million this year. That's according to a new report from the Wall Street Journal. The Journal says Netflix is trying to improve its profitability in an increasingly competitive market. Unlike most of its rivals that are still losing money on streaming, Netflix has been turning a profit for several years. However, it reported its first ever loss of subscribers last year. Broadway's biggest nights will not be shown live this year. Multiple news outlets report the 76th annual Tony Awards will not be televised because of the Writers Guild of America strike. It was set to air on CBS and Paramount Plus on June 11th. The decision by the Tony's Management Committee comes after the union denied a request for a waiver to allow the live show without striking writers protesting outside the venue. A final check of the forecast is next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, why is red tape stopping some military spouses from filling certain job positions? Then on KOAM News at 6, what you should know as we enter tick season in the 4 states, plus an update on the cleanup of a Kansas oil spill, and the dog that has put mail deliveries in one Southwest Missouri neighborhood on pause. Stay with us. CBS Evening News, KOAM News at 6. Hey, if you want to keep mosquitoes away, scientists say you might want to try coconut-scented soap. That's according to a study published in the iScience Journal. Researchers examined the chemical odors released by participants before and after they used different brands of soap. They also looked at the chemicals in the soaps to identify which attracted and repelled the insects. The chemicals in the coconut-scented soap appeared to make humans less attractive to mosquitoes. The results also confirmed previous findings from other studies. Now, that's not to say necessarily that coconut drinks, say pina coladas, repel mosquitoes. I know there are some people who are hoping that's the result. I don't know. You might want to do your own experiments there, but that's not what the study showed. Rain, if it sits around for long, it can mean mosquito problems.
That's right. So you need to dump out those bird baths and buckets of water that are standing around. And we're going to be drying out for the next couple of days, but then storms come back late Thursday into Friday, and then a dry weekend across the area, and that continues into next week as well.
See you right back here for KOAM News at 6. Let's make it a great evening.